Welcome to week 2 of Partnership School's virtual enrichment course, The Art of Calligraphy. Now, I hope you've been practicing your lowercase letters all week on your practice sheets, and if so, you'll have noticed that I forgot to show you the Z in last week's lesson. So, I will start out by showing you the Z today, and then we'll go right into capitals so we can really get to some fun quotes and names and all kinds of things. So let's get going. Okay, first we'll start with the Z. I'll show you quickly. Get yourself ready. Make sure your feet are on the floor. Your back is straight. You're sitting up straight. Put your pen on your 35-degree angle. Get ready. Z stays in the middle like that. Z. Sometimes I put a little swish in the middle, a little line to make sure it doesn't look like a pretty poor 2. But let's go right into the capital letters. Now, remember how we said that our lowercase letters, the main spot of it is 5 pen widths. Well, the uppercase are just 2 more pen widths, not the whole thing. So, let's do an A. And I usually just do a little swash in there. B. And you can see I've changed my cartridge to green. C, D, and you got to come back up, and this sometimes is hard to get used to coming back and meeting over here, but you will get used to it with practice. E, a stroke down, out, out, out. F, G. G is a really fun letter. It's just like a C, but then you do this little tail, and then you come back from the other side to meet it. H. H is also a pretty dramatic, grand letter. I. J. K, L, now you want to make sure when you're writing these that you see how there's a little bump in the table, so I didn't keep my pen level, but you want to make sure that your pen is not sort of like not doing the whole stroke. You want to make sure the strokes are the whole nib. This is the nib of the pen. The whole nib is on the paper. M, N, O. The O is exactly like the lowercase o. P, Q. This is a really fun letter. It's like you're doing an O, and then you do this little tail. R, S, T, U, once again, is exactly like the lowercase letter. V, whoops, I keep writing on this. This is a bad idea. There's a bump in my table underneath, but I want to keep this here so you can see what I'm doing. W, up, down, up, and then X, Y, and Z. And that is all the capitals. And then I can show you how to do an ampersand, which is used instead of and. So if you're writing you and me, for example, you could do this line first, and then up, and then a little flourish. And that means and. Okay. And you'll see in these practice of these, there are certain letter groups that are very similar. Like the B, the P, the R, they all have this same swish in. So you could practice them all together. The K and the R have this little kick that sometimes takes a little practice. I know that I had big problems with the B when I first started out. My bubbles, you see how this one's a little bit smaller than this one. But in the beginning, my little, I don't know what you'd call them, these little rounded humps were either too small, too big. It just takes practice, practice, practice. So a lot of these letters can be grouped into certain things, and some of them, like the S and the O, the U, remain almost exactly the same as the lowercase ones. Okay, let's do some numbers really quick to show the numbers, and then you'll have the whole italic alphabet under your belt with all this practicing. You can go on to fun things. So, 1, 2, most of the letters remain in the center part, but some of them don't. 3 goes curved down and then goes lower. 4, 5 also goes lower. 6, 7, 8. Now that is a tricky one because you'll see that I went here first, then I went there. No, I went here first, then I went there. I'm sorry. And then the third thing was there. So that's a little bit of a tricky one. 9 and 0. So now you have all the uppercase, the lowercase, and the numbers. So now it's time to do fun things like do more sentences that use all the letters. For example, Sphinx of black quartz, judge my vow. That's another one that uses all the letters. And you can practice your name. So here's my name, and it's really satisfying when you have a name that has ascenders and descenders. I don't have any descenders here, but remember to keep your capital at half of this, but your ascenders go all the way to the top. And then here's the capital, and here's the all the way to the top ascenders. Now what I'm going to show you now, see how mine all look connected? But they're actually not. It's not like I lift my pen a lot. It's not like I'm keeping my pen on the ground. In order to connect a letter, you're going to draw. Let's draw that again. So we have Catherine. That's my name. See how I did a little lift up at the end? So when I do my A, it can touch. And I lift up here. When I do my T, it touches. When I do my H, which actually should go all the way to the up, it's touching. E, R. Now the R and the I don't actually touch because it just doesn't go with that kind of letter, but that's okay. And I've got this little bump in the table still. But down in the end I could add a little flourish. Catherine. Then it looks like the whole name is connected. And you could add a little more extra flourish like I just did there. You could make your T crossed a little wider to make it a little fancier there. So it's time to practice all your upper and lowercase letters. So we've got all the capitals under our belt, and we have all the lowercases and the numbers. So now it's time to practice. If I were you, I would just take that digital printout sheet I gave you of all the lines and just practice. Do a whole page of capital A's, a whole page of things, and actually whatever letter your name begins with, definitely do a whole capital page of that. Just write your name again and again. I do know that it's really satisfying if you have a name that has ascenders and descenders. It looks really pretty. So let's practice. And this week, along with your practice, your assignment would be to find a quote that you really like. something that means a lot to you. And then next week we can try to start working on, I'm going to give composition and tips to like actually creating a real piece that would be interesting. Until then, practice, 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 and I'll see you next week.